We've been waiting quite some time to get this story to you ever since the news first broke that Lindsey Buckingham was no longer going to be in Fleetwood Mac. Was he fired? Did he quit? We now have some light to shine on this subject as Fleetwood Mac is speaking out about what exactly went down, how it all unfolded, at least from their perspective, and a new tour that they are going to roll out. There's no surprise that they waited to speak till the time that they were ready to announce the tour. Obviously, they're maximizing their publicity to try and sell the tour out. It is a big tour. It's a 52-dater, and it's going to start up in the fall. And it will feature the lineup that we spoke about with Mike Campbell and Neil Finn. We got a picture of it right here in the studio. Kind of strange to look at Fleetwood Mac without Lindsey in there and Mike Campbell and Neil Finn. But essentially, this is what's happened. This is what we now know, that the split actually came a month ago. Now, today's April 25th, but they say, and we found out, a week or two ago? So it had been a week or two old by the time that we had all found out, but they gathered in a little theater in Maui, all the current members of Fleetwood Mac, sans Lindsey Buckingham. This is after they had already parted ways with Lindsey Buckingham. And they came down together and started talking and decided that they wanted to go on and continue. Stevie Nicks says, quote, "We were supposed to go into rehearsal in June, and he," meaning Lindsey, "wanted to put it off until November. November of 2019. So they were supposed to go in to start rehearsing for this tour in June, and he wanted to put it off until November of 2019. Stevie went on to say, "That's a long time. I just did 70 shows on a solo tour. As soon as I finish one thing, I dive back into another. Why would we stop? We don't want to stop playing music. We don't have anything else to do. This is what we do." You know, since we've been posting videos of some of the segments that we do on the air here on EHM online, we've been seeing a whole influx of comments. And one of the comments that I keep seeing is, for the money, they'll do anything for the money, this and that for the money. And I keep bringing it up. And I bring this up here with Stevie's quote because it just goes to illustrate my point. These people don't need money. There's one thing I learned about being around some of these artists, some of these people that have a ton of money in the bank. I've just learned this over time and doing interviews and talking with them, seeing them privately behind the scenes, become friendly with some of them, not a lot. They don't need, some of them do. So believe me, there is a low class, middle class, and high class in the musician world. There are some musicians that go out and tour because that's how they make a living, and they have family, and I totally get that. And it exists. It definitely does exist. But there's a group of musicians that go out all the time, quite often, and sell out big tours. And, they do it for the love. They don't need the money. This is literally what they do. When you find something, believe me, when you find something that you love to do, money becomes secondary. Whether you got a ton of it or you're not getting enough of it, if you love doing it, you do it. How many musicians do you know go around and tour playing small clubs and have been doing so for 20, 30 years? It's just what they love to do. It's not the ideal lifestyle, believe me. It really isn't. So instead of calling it quits or waiting, they decided to move forward with Mike Campbell from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, obviously, and Crowded House frontman Neil Finn also spent some time with Split Enz. About the chemistry, Christine McVie said, quote, "I immediately felt like I'd known them for years, even though we just only met." The new lineup will go on a 52-date tour starting in October. Tickets will go on sale. Today's April 25th. They'll go on sale Friday, May 4th at 10 a.m. I'll go through where they're going to go in a second. Nobody in the group is willing to commit to the term fired for Lindsey Buckingham, but they don't object to the term. Fleetwood said, quote, words like fired are ugly references as far as I'm concerned. Not to hedge around, but we arrived at the impasse of hitting a brick wall. This was not a happy situation for us in terms of the logistics of a functioning band. To that purpose, we made a decision that we could go on. We made a decision that we could not go on with him. Majority rules in terms of what we need to do as a band going forward. So there you go. I understand it's kind of a cop-out. I know Lindsey Buckingham fans will be really upset to hear that. But if they all want to go and he doesn't, and he wants to not only push it back a couple months, but 18 months, what are the rest of the band going to do? This article, and by the way, Anthony Mason had the story on CBS News this morning. Also, Rolling Stone got a good article in on it. But they go on to point out that Fleetwood Mac, for the longest time, has been sort of a revolving door for members. Peter Green, Jeremy Spencer left the group in the early 70s. Mick Fleetwood considers this business as usual. The group never stopped working even when Nick's left early in the 1990s, and a new lineup found themselves opening up for the likes of REO Speedwagon on the State Fair circuit. We kind of forget about that time, but there was a time when Fleetwood Mac was knocked down so much they were opening up for REO Speedwagon at state fairs. Now they're back to headlining arenas and big festivals, so they've certainly had quite a bit of a resurgence. One of the people that came to mind as soon as the split happened was Campbell, who was at his home in Hawaii when the call came. It also happened to be his 68th birthday. Mike said, quote, I was sitting in my yard by my pool contemplating my future without my partner, Tom Petty, which was going to be a dark place in a lot of ways. I said, give me a day to think it over. The more I thought about it, the more I thought it could be great. I've known Stevie for years, and we've always been very creative together. Again, we've talked about Mike in this scenario on he is face, and he goes to say it, which is great that we were right about that look at his future without his partner. Like, what is he going to do? Lie around and be depressed all day long? Like, you need to go out and do something. And what a great opportunity for him. This may have saved him, you know. It really, really may have saved him. Neil said that he was stunned when he got the call from Mick. Quote, I was enjoying my life and my music, but I have a restless nature, and now I'm relishing this beautiful gift that's been given to me. For those of you who've fallen off with Neil Finn, you know, after Crowded House and Split Ends, obviously he reached a lot of heights with both of those bands. He's had a cult following and has done really well going out and playing. Doesn't need to go back out and do huge events like this. Again, I don't think it's for the money. I think he just loves to play. He just really, really loves to play. The group has yet to begin formal rehearsals, which they say will last 2 months, working 5 days a week. But they've already, there's a lot of shade coming up here. They've already decided that this tour will be songs from the entire history of Fleetwood Mac, not just the original Buckingham Nicks run from 75 to 87. On this topic, Stevie says, quote, we were never able to do that since 1975 because certain people in the band weren't interested in doing that. Now we're able to open up the set with a raucous version of Rattlesnake Shake or something. I'd also like to do Station Man, which has always been one of my favorites. We're definitely doing Oh Well. Stevie sounds hurt in this whole scenario. You don't say something like this. You don't go certain people when everybody and their mother knows exactly whom you're talking about. How does this all feel? The bassist, Christine McVie. I felt very comfortable when we rehearsed. And also, I felt because it seemed to fit. It's another exciting chapter in the book, in the saga. It seems to be business as usual for the rest of the members in the band. The band realizes that a Fleetwood Mac tour without Buckingham will be a different experience, but they soldiered on without him on the 1987 Tango in the Night tour and didn't see a big decline in attendance. They also had 16 years of successful road work when McVie left in 1998. She came back in 2015. On that topic, Christine said, when I got back to London, I was surprised to hear that he had left the band, but life moves on, and I wanted to carry on with these guys. So Christine is happy to be back in there. For Nick's carrying on with Buckingham is bittersweet. She said, and I quote, "Our relationship has always been volatile. We were never married, but we might as well have been. Some couples get divorced after 40 years. They break their kids' hearts and destroy everyone around them because it's just hard. This is sad for me, but I want the next 10 years of my life to be really fun and happy. I want to get up every day and dance around my apartment and smile and say, thank God for this amazing life." Again, not about the money for these people. I really don't believe that. And I say this all the time with the Beatles, too, and Fleetwood Mac and Dave Matthews and the Grateful Dead. It's not just those 4 or 5 members on the stage, right? It's not just those guys. It's their sound guy. It's their lighting guy. It's their guitar techs. It's their promotions people. It's their managers. All of these bands, outside of the actual band members themselves, are feeding and employing this whole community of people, tour managers, roadie, all of them. They're all feeding these people. They're all making a living off of this band's music. There's no reason not to keep it going. It's not just about the money for them all the time. It's a hell of a tour, by the way. It's a hell of a run here, what they've put together. They start in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's primarily arenas, which is no surprise considering that it'll be fall and into winter, and they're going to be running all around St. Louis, Kansas City, Milwaukee, Detroit, Pittsburgh, up to Ottawa and Toronto for a couple of dates in November, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, so they're definitely hitting Canada and all the big cities, Portland, San Jose, Sacramento, Oakland, Phoenix, Vegas at the end of November. They start December in Denver. They're in California at the Forum for a couple of nights. Houston, Dallas, Austin, Tampa, Nolens, Columbia, Charlotte, Nashville into February. They're off all of January, by the way. And then March 3rd in Atlanta, D.C. on the 5th, Atlantic City at Boardwalk Hall on March 9th, Madison Square Garden on March 11th, and the Prudential Center on March 13th. For my Connecticut folks, they're up in Hartford at the XL Center on the 15th, and then they wrap up in Baltimore on the 24th. The reason why I bring this up is they're playing all the big markets, all the big arenas, and in multiple nights too. So we'll know just how well this Lindsey Buckingham-less tour is going by if they can sell both dates at the Forum in California. Can they sell out both dates at Madison Square Garden and the Prudential Center here in New Jersey? We'll have to wait and see. There's at least a day in between every date, but I wouldn't be surprised if they wind up adding a Coliseum or a Barclays Center in between the Garden and the Prudential Center, March 11th and 13th. They're in AC on the 9th, the 10th, the 11th at the Garden, and the 13th at the Prudential Center, so they could potentially sneak in another day there. Although I know most bands don't like to do that, singers and all the other stuff. So that is the absolute latest from Fleetwood Mac. We have been waiting for the band to come together and cohesively give us a statement on what transpired, and that's essentially what it is. They came together. They knew they wanted to go on. Lindsey wanted to push it another year and a half, and they didn't want to wait that long and miss what essentially would be this entire tour. I can see both sides of this argument. I could see Lindsey not wanting to go out and wanting to do his own thing, and I can totally see the band not wanting to miss this opportunity. Because what happens, a year and a half from now when Lindsey's like, I'm just not ready yet, now you have, foregone all these dates and all these chances to tour, and you're still back in the same position. So for a band like Fleetwood Mac that has always had members coming in and out, I kind of get it. I know it stinks and it hurts for some fans, but I kind of get it. EHM, this is Ant.
Hey, Ant, it's Michelle from Facebook.
Michelle from Facebook, what's happening?
How are you?
Doing good. What's going on?
Anyway, yeah, I'm a huge Fleetwood Mac fan. Been following them since I was like 13. So I'm like honestly sad to hear about Lindsey's disconnect with the rest of the band, honestly. I heard that this was maybe their farewell tour. I mean, why wouldn't you stick it out and just do it? You know what I'm saying? But honestly, I feel like I made the call. I knew that he wouldn't want to do all the old stuff. That was my thing.
Yeah, it's funny. It seems like that was, you listen to what Stevie said, and clearly that was a big part of it. But it seems like they're focusing more, and I understand because it's easier to blame on the scheduling part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you can tell, like the Setlist choice was probably an argument in that band for years and years and years.
Oh yeah. And honestly, I feel like Lindsey's got probably the biggest ego of all of them. And like you said, you were totally dead on accurate that they don't do it for the money. They do it for the love. They love their fans. Their fans stretch from 7 years old to 97 years old. You know what I mean? And they love that. Yeah,
of course. I mean, it's just, once you sock away $50 million, you're no longer doing it for the money,
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, it's pretty crazy. But I just think that, and by the way, I don't really know if this is a farewell tour. I don't think it is. I think they're going to.
I had heard that. I don't know. I had heard that because I know John had cancer. I don't know if he's still battling it. So they were kind of like, shoot, we got to cram some stuff in. You know what I mean? Now, in my opinion, that's why Christine came back.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It could definitely be that last chance for this original lineup to get together. But call me crazy, I feel like Fleetwood Mac is going to turn into, the Temptations and the Flamingos, where there'll be just one member and they'll still be going out.
They'll still be doing it, right?
They'll still be going out as Fleetwood Mac, yeah.
I'm in a band called Albums We Love. I don't know if you've heard of us, but we're going to be playing Great South Bay Music Festival this year. What we do every year is we perform a classic album live, and this year we're doing Fleetwood Mac Rumors. You got to check it out.
Oh, sweet. So that's going to be at Great South Bay?
Yeah, Saturday night.
All right. Well, check it out for sure.
Awesome.
All right, Michelle.
All right, take care, Aunt.
Thanks.
I'll meet you very soon.
I hope so.
All right.
Right. Bye. Yeah, call me crazy. I just feel like Fleetwood Mac, that is going to be a thing far past, just for a long time. Stevie can go out on his own. Lindsey can go out on his own. Stevie does her thing. Lindsey does his thing. They've obviously, and Fleetwood Mac has continued to do their thing. But I just feel like this is one of those bands that, 20 years from now, Mick will still be out there. Maybe the drums will be turned down. Maybe instruments will be turned down. I don't know who will be left. Maybe it'll be Christine, whatever, but they'll still be out there touring as Fleetwood Mac, and they'll still be selling out, maybe not arenas, but I'm sure theaters and whatever else. And, the band is just far too popular to not continue this legacy. And we've seen it continued, with bands of lesser legacy where members have come and gone, or one member has continued or whatever. Very big in the doo-wop world. If you had one guy who was kind of a session musician, he could take the band out now and do it. It happens. And, at the end of the day, we love to just recreate the memories and hear the music live. So we go still. Nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with Fleetwood Mac continuing when members are far gone or retired or don't want to go out and play anymore. I just think that this is one of those bands that will really, honestly and truly just continue to go for a very long time, far past when this lineup themselves can go out.